Hi everyone, welcome to Zero to Somewhere. It's May 2026 and I don't know where to start. Over the last year or since the last time I did one of these, I've spent close to most of the year in Sri Lanka, almost 8 months. And it was probably one of the hardest times of my life. And it's maybe on the same level or beyond the kind of struggle I went through when I was first moving to the Czech Republic with all of the visa processes, which maybe some of you already know. Nothing went to plan, and everything took 1,000 times longer than what I would have expected or hoped for it to take. And there's still so much that is left to be done. I was able to get a few things done in this entire time that I spent there, but nowhere close to all the things that I need to do or would like to do over there. So, um, go. It's maybe too many things to share. Actually, for a change. Um, to fit into a video of a reasonable length. So what I thought I might do is just share a few things, a few points. A lot of it is also maybe things that I don't really want to share, but I think these few points might be a bit interesting, or or something that was was caught me by surprise. It's also maybe some things that I've learned, some things that I observed, some things that I just saw over the last year. So the reason I went to Sri Lanka is to help my parents out with a whole bunch of things over there. Some of them are personal around inheritance. The others are just practical things as well. And until now, I really haven't dealt with Sri Lanka at all as let's say an entity. For the most part, it was just the basic stuff I had to do, like like identity cards or driving licenses, but nothing around business or anything professional. I didn't really have to do much of those so far. So this was in a way the first time I had to deal with all of that. And for me, I'm now more used to how things work here in Prague, in Czech Republic. And so that is the reference I took with me when I went into this. And I was in for a bit of a shock in a way. So the first thing that caught me off guard was the corruption. Um, I I knew that it was there. This is not a secret in Sri Lanka that it's extremely corrupt. It's just I maybe refused to believe that it was as bad as people were saying. I just didn't think it was this bad in a way. But I've saw it firsthand and it really surprised me. The scale and the first the like the how blatant they are with that. They just don't care. This is everyday business to them. They don't see this as something wrong or shady or there is. I think maybe that's what caught me by most surprise. There's no shame. They're so open about it. The other thing, of course, is about growing old, because the reason why all of this is kind of happening now is because until now my dad was taking care of all of this. And he was also the kind of person who, you know, kept his business to himself. He didn't really share what he was doing with anyone. He and yeah, he was very much like a one-handed, one man, one army kind of thing. Yeah, so he really kept this to himself, and now he's struggling too. And I mean, so and for me, it's really heartbreaking to see how he is now because I the way I remember him is just so different. And what I see now, where he's just struggling with even the most basic tasks in a way, he's still doing amazingly for someone of his age, and I'm incredibly grateful that that's the case. Like, but he is it is getting hard for him. That's why I tried to step in to help them. But the other thing is that yeah, the old habits die hard, really, in this case, because both of my parents, they still are doing and behaving the same way that they have done their entire life. And a lot of the issues that we are facing are purely because they just don't want to let go of those habits or those beliefs or those ideas. Like, for example, I think the biggest one in this is just that for most of my life and for most of their lives, really, or at least when I was in Sri Lanka, that is, my parents, they struggled to make ends meet. And so for them, every rupee, let's say, was very important, very valuable, and they were very frugal, extremely frugal. And this is now a habit that is in them. It's a habit that they've gotten into from, and because they've been in it their entire life. So it's something that they're really struggling to break, and they're putting themselves through so much unnecessary pain because of this. They're still holding on to things and to ideas like status and image and all of this, when while their health and their well-being is taking a huge hit. And I've tried so much to help, like, first to help them, and then to also make them maybe realize that this is not what you should be focusing on, that you should really be looking after your well-being, and that, it's okay that if, and that there is no way out of this situation without taking a loss in terms of money in one way or another. And they just don't want to, they just don't listen, or they just don't understand this, and they just don't see it. And it breaks my heart, and it also makes me incredibly frustrated at how this is playing out. So that's that. The other thing is about hidden time bombs, because as I said, my dad is someone who took care of everything, and he kept things to himself. And also what he I learned that there were a lot of things that he kept to himself and did that are basically ticking time bombs, that are extremely risky maneuvers that basically puts the whole property in jeopardy, as well as their income in jeopardy. So far it's okay. It's, for some miracle, it's still continuing to run okay for the most part, but it's it's um, it's really unstable in a way, or uncertain, and the risk is way more than what I would like it to be. And the best part is, now this is my concern, because one of the things that I managed to finish this, it took me basically most of the time that I spent there to sort this out. But one of the things that I managed to do is, take over most of the things there. And so this now becomes my problem. Um, it's not something, again, not something that I want to be a part of in any way, but I'm not really left with much choice. Because also the other thing is, like, it is the way that they're making an income there, and they need to have it, and someone needs to run it, or else there's no income for them. And of course, you need the income there. So it comes to me, and I would do that. It's just this this is extremely tricky things that I'm getting myself into. Up next is the severe lack of professionalism or timeliness from any any institution and professional in Sri Lanka. Like, trying to get something done in that country is borderline impossible. It's I can't really explain this, like, why it is this way, but doesn't matter who I speak to, like, whether it's a government institution, a bank, or a professional like a lawyer or a surveyor or something like this, no one keeps their word. No one, if I, even if I pay them for it, that's the best part. Like, the work that I expect from all of them, for the most part, is is something that is beneficial to them. It gives them money, or it's profitable to them. I'm not asking for favors, but even for this, it they never deliver anything on time, and they to get anything done basically requires going after them for days or weeks to handle something around this inherit like this property ownership, which is now dealt with by the bank because of a mortgage. I spent close to 3 or 4 months talking to the bank to get that sorted, and then it's also involved other parties because it also involves some of my dad's business partners, and getting things from them was equally frustrating. So this is why such a thing took so long and continues to take so long. It's just because it's it I don't know why it is this way, but the lack of professionalism is astonishing. And finally, I something that I was just something that I realized while I was there, and I felt personally, is that I think most people in Sri Lanka are operating in what is basically survival mode, in that you're spending every moment or most of your life just barely trying to survive. And you don't really have the capacity to like think ahead or plan ahead, and just or even reflect on your life, because you're so done from everyday life that you just don't have the capacity to do anything more. And this is a reason why my parents are also struggling with the things they are now, because it's just so difficult to get anything done there, on top of like the everyday demands, because even everyday life can be really demanding. Especially, I mean, an average person would spend hours commuting to work and then hours commuting back. And then even at work, they would basically be doing what I was just saying, which is just chasing people to get things done. And without any guarantees, without any timelines, it's it's horrible, really. And it really it showed me how much I'm taking for granted being here, in that you actually here you have some peace of mind, in a way you have some capacity to think ahead, to plan ahead. And most people don't have that in Sri Lanka, I think, and I didn't have that when I was there. And it is also what makes this so difficult, all of what I need to do, because I'm like, when I was there, I every day I was working almost like the whole day, just going various places, talking to various people. And I would do all of that, and yet nothing would get achieved in the end. So I can't say that I was exactly idling there. But in the end, I also don't have anything, not much to show for everything that I tried to do there. So yeah, with all of that also came a change of plans. Um, to put it bluntly, the reason why this change of plans is coming about is because I need more money. A lot of it has to do with what is going down in Sri Lanka, and just to keep that afloat and to help my parents. The rest is for personal reasons. It's because it's time that I decided that I want to, let's say, buy a flat in Prague or something like this. And all of these are extremely expensive ventures, and not something that I actually went to meet a mortgage advisor here, and he just opened my eyes to just how much money you would need, in order to do something which I considered is a rather basic thing. But apparently, this is owning a flat in Prague is a rich person thing, or like it is a wealthy person thing to do, apparently. I never thought of it in that way, but in maybe hindsight, and maybe this is just my perspective, like it is obvious, like, and the same thing applies for Colombo, like in Sri Lanka, because another requirement is I need to buy a flat in Colombo, which is also a capital, and it's the same story. So what I'm facing right now is I am basically need to buy property, or want to buy property, in two of the most expensive places relative to their area, like one of the most expensive places in Europe, and one of the most expensive places in South Asia. And this is not a easy undertaking. And with that, yeah, so I need to change my plans to make that happen. And I'm really still trying to keep going down this road I set on, which is to just figure out something for myself. And because of that, I've decided on a solution that is maybe a bit unusual in that I decided that I will basically scale up what I'm doing. Because until now, what I have been doing is working half for clients and half on my own projects. And I decided that I would do this. I would just scale up the same thing, involving more people. Well, when I say more people, at least just one more person, so that they also work and they also work for on my projects. So it is super early in this process. I've just hired someone a few weeks ago, and he's still very early in this, and so I don't know how this is gonna go, and I really hope for the best. But this is a different challenge than what I'm used to. Focusing on human devs is maybe a strange choice in the current day and age where all the rage is about AI agents and getting AI agents to do more and more work. But from what I've seen so far, despite the incredible advancements that AI agents have made, they still need someone keeping an eye on them, that someone to push them to just do better work. And also most clients still want human developers working on their projects. They don't, even if they might be able to use AI agents, they just don't want to because it's taking on more work for yourself. So given all of that, I am banking that there will be a need for human developers, despite many people saying that that human developers are a thing of the past. I still see that there will be maybe not as much developers, but still some of them. So based on that, I've decided do to go ahead with this. And yeah, what I'm basically trying to set up now is can basically be described as a company of sorts that is 50% a software agency and 50% a product development company. And the hope is of course to eventually be 100% a product company. That has always been my ambition or my goal ever since the start of this series. Ever since I thought about it for the years before, it's always been the thing I wanted to do, and that's still what I would like to do. It's just what is interesting though is that in the time that I have been on this journey, the whole environment has changed entirely. The software development industry, the software products industry, all of it is completely changing, all due to AI. And I think no one knows how this is going to play out. And even me, I'm just basically taking a gambit at this point because I also don't know how this is going to play out. But what I am putting my hopes on is on quality. And with what I'm starting right now, the core thing that I want to build it on is just quality. Because what has happened with all these AI agents taking over is that the quality of software has gone down a lot over the last few years. And it seems that a lot of people don't care, but the effect of that the poor software quality is felt. I mean, I feel it anytime I use most pieces of software right now. They just don't really work very well. So with what I'm moving forwards with this, quality will be, let's say, the core principle or the core value that we will focus on both in our client work and in any products that we would develop. And what I hope is that this would allow us to stand out compared to the, let's say, the armies of AI agents churning out products and churning out work at insane paces. But this is a gambit. It might also just be that by focusing on quality, we end up being too slow, and we can't keep up with all of our competitors who are just blazing away, with thanks to AI agents. I'm not saying that we will not use AI agents. We will, and because now it's become a disadvantage not to use them. You need to use them if you want to have any chance. But what I would focus on is just making good stuff, making doing good work, and doing work that you can be proud of. And this, I hope that this will be enough to basically keep us afloat and for this idea to, let's say, work. But all of that is to be seen. We will see how all of this plays out in the future, and of course, everything in Sri Lanka is gonna take a lot of my time and efforts over the coming months and years as well. So this is also a huge open question as to how all of this together is gonna play out. I feel like I have a lot of balls in the air, and I just don't know where any of how any of them would land. And yeah, that's the situation I find myself in right now. Lots of things going on. Also, not enough. And maybe that is the recurring theme of this journey, is that despite me doing way more, or I feel way more than I used to, still nothing seems to move or go the way I would like it to. Anyways, so we will see how all of this turns out, and I will catch you in the next one.